Welcome in the ring. Let's fight. How are you guys doing out there this evening? Those of you joining us on Twitter, joining us on Facebook, joining us on YouTube, let's fight, guys. Let's fight. Very happy that so many of you could be with us this evening. You know the price of admission has got to be paid. No free lunches. Nothing is free, guys. Nothing is free. Let's fight. I'm ready to go. It's Friday. The weekend is before us. This is our last show for the week, and we want to make it very special for you guys. So share the live stream. We're going to have some guests dropping by. A young doctor, MP Mahi Paul, is going to be in the ring a little later on in the evening. And we are going to ensure that you guys have the information that you need as we continue to promote the truth and defend the facts here in the ring. Let's fight, guys. To our Twitter folks, we are happy to see you guys. Happy for the comments you leave. And I hope again that the Venezuelans I meet on Twitter are not representative of all the Venezuelans that they are. I hope so. For the folks on YouTube, great to see you guys. Continue to subscribe to our channels. Those of you who are joining us in Guyana, in the diaspora, around the world, welcome in the ring, folks. Let's fight. You know, we got to pay the price for admissions, and so I'm going to do that. I want to share the live stream. And let's get to our magic number. And then we're going to be good to go, folks. Happy Friday. Hope you guys have had a good week. Hope when you look back on the week, you are proud of what you did, proud of the work that you put in, so that when you pick up that wage at the end of this week, or perhaps the salary even at the end of the month, that you are very, very proud of yourself. And you don't have to give back some of that money. So, folks, I'm sharing the live stream now, and I hope you guys can share it as well. Retweet, subscribe, and let's get to going. I got to share it to a couple places, and then we're ready to move, folks. We are going to be ready to move. And as I was telling you guys last night, you guys make this show what it is. That is why so many people talking about us. We're in the mouths of all kind of persons. He who shall not be named. Yeah, good to see each and every one of you guys. And as I said, let us share the live stream a couple places. Pay the price of admissions. That's what I'm going to do. I got to be admitted to my own program. So I'm sharing around a couple places, and then I'm going to be most happy to be with you guys. Be with me. The crack screen phone working better tonight. Thank you guys for all the shares I'm already seeing. Thank you guys for all of those shares. I'm always heartened when I see people take so kindly to the show and take so kindly to paying the price of admission. We don't ask for much. I mean, I did throw there that the chair that I got is not the perfect chair. The rec left my back. I ain't seen nobody taking me on. But that being said, guys, we really enjoy having your company for these hour, perhaps 45 minutes when you guys join us every evening. And that is why we put into work to make sure that you get good content. You get very good content. And I see one of my guests is already here in our green room virtually. And I am going to have him on as soon as we get to that magic number, folks. And that's why we encourage you guys to share the live stream so that as many persons can benefit. You know, there's a saying, when you're going up, carry people with you, because when you're coming down, some of those same people you pass. And so, guys, take us with you. Reshare the live stream. We are so happy to be joined by so many of you each and every night. So many of you join us. So many of you tell a friend. So many of you who can join us at 8, come back and watch the show later on. And I'm heartened by that. You know, one woman called me the other evening from London. She said, you know, 8 o'clock is the time she's taking her son to soccer and that kind of stuff and so forth, or picking him up, something of that nature. But when she gets home, she gets a chance to look back at the program. Was that a woman from the States? I know I get all of these calls of encouragement telling us, you know, continue pressing forward. Don't worry with the naysayers. We are going to get to where we need to go. And I'm always encouraged by that. I'm always encouraged when people message me and, you know, with some kind words. Yeah, people who message you with some real foolishness, you know. But then there's some others who are really, really uplifting. And, you know, my guest who's going to be on shortly, he's one of those persons who is really, really uplifting to the spirit. And sometimes you got to get some of these folks around you to help you to think straight, and so you can move ahead. And that is why I want him to talk to us this evening about what he's doing and what he has been writing about. And you know, we always mix things up in the ring. Some people like to think of us as a political program, but no, 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 no. Don't put us in no box, because we are going to continue to disappoint you guys. We are going to continue to disappoint you guys all the time. Don't put us in any box. And that's why we continue to mix things up on this program. And as soon as we get to our magic number, folks, we are going to have our guests on, and we're going to start our discussion for this evening. As I said to you, I am going to be joined this evening by Dr. Terrence Isaacs. He's a medical doctor. He's an author, among other things. And I'm going to be joined later on in the program by our Member of Parliament, Mr. Ganesh Mahi Paul. And strangely enough, all of us have crossed paths at that grand old institution, the University of Guyana. But more about that a little later on, folks. Let's share the live stream. Let's get to our magic number, and so we can start. I am ready to go, folks. I've been preparing for this program since last week, I think it was. I started preparing for my Friday program. Folks, you don't think we just come on here and start talking a whole set of stuff just to full an hour? No, 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 no. We are interested in you. We are interested that you have enough information to make credible decisions, to make the best decisions. And so we work hard to ensure that you have good information. That is what we are about, whether you agree with us or not. And that is what we keep saying. This show is for people who belong to PPP, WPA, no party, no religion, whether you're a Christian, you're a Hindu, you're a Muslim. Everybody is welcome in the ring. Everybody is welcome, because we believe it is with that confluence of ideas rubbing against each other, that contention and contending of ideas, that the best ideas come to the surface and we're able to move our country and our people forward. Folks, that is what we're about. We're almost where we need to be in terms of our numbers to bring our guest on this evening. And I'm so happy that he has agreed to be on with us tonight to tell us a little bit about what he's doing and how you can be of benefit from that. Because this is how we move forward together, folks. This is how we move forward together, whether you are Amerindian, you are African, you are Indian, whether you are Portuguese, you're Chinese, whoever you are. We are so mixed up in this country. I don't even know how we have a race problem. We are so mixed up, right? If we get to talking, you would understand that my great-grandfather was a Chinese man, surname Chung. My grandmother, surname is Chung, right? My sister is married Pandey. My aunt is married Narayan. Another aunt is married Singh. There's a whole cook-up show. Right? My mother was married to a half Scot Amerindian guy. All of that coursing through all of our veins. And that is why, how can we hate? We're about love. Happy Friday, folks. Share the live stream. We're almost where we need to go. And we have been kind of tweaking this Friday show, especially a couple of weeks ago. We introduced our Flashback Friday, where we look at, all news, all information that is still relevant to us now, because, least we forget. Churchill said that if you forget your past, you're condemned to repeat it. You're doomed to repeat it. And so this is our Flashback Friday program, and we'll be looking back at some old issues a little later on in the evening and giving you some context and showing you even some similarities to some stuff that is happening now. We're almost where we need to be in terms of our magic number. I'm happy that I have my guest in the background. If he's wearing black, he probably copied from me a little bit this evening. I don't know if somebody gave him my notes, but folks, listen to me. I prepare for you guys. I want you guys to leave this program at the end of the hour feeling as though you've spent your hour doing something meaningful. And so I step out, the team working behind the scenes, do the research. We are working hard for you. We want you to be informed when you come on this program. As I say, we defend the truth and we promote the facts. We promote the facts and we defend the truth, folks. And I am very, very privileged this evening to have on with me Dr. Terrence Isaacs. And again, this is our Flashback Friday edition of In the Ring. Dr. Isaacs, a very good evening.
Hi, good evening, Sharon.
Awesome. I'm seeing you clearly. I'm hearing you clearly. I hope for the rest of the public that is the same situation. Folks, I cross paths. Awesome. I cross paths with Dr. Isaacs at the university. And, when I first saw him and started engaging with him, I was certain that Dr. Isaacs was going someplace. Well, he wasn't a doctor then. We were all students. He was doing medicine. I was doing law and so forth. But I'm happy for my UG years. I don't regret any of it at all because I met great folks like Dr. Terrence Isaacs. But Dr. Isaacs, for those folks who don't know you per se, who is Terrence Isaacs?
This is a thoughtful question, and I almost sometimes get stuck when I'm asked it. But I'm going to go with this explanation or a little synopsis. So first and foremost, I am the proud son of Gus Davis and Grayson Isaac. So that's the first and most important bit. But besides that, of course, I am an Afro-Guyanese. Um, I am a medical doctor at present. I'm an author. I'm a spoken word poet, activist of some sort, and of course, just a human being trying to make this world a better place. So I think in a nutshell, that's mainly who I am. But of course, I can of course get into a little more details if required about the more nitty-gritties.
Awesome, awesome. I'm really happy that you could be on the program and I get the chance to introduce you to some folks who might not have heard of Dr. Terrence Isaac before and the work that you're doing both in medicine and as an author, writer, spoken poet, and all of that, because I believe strongly that you can be an inspiration to so many of our young people. And as you say, you are an author, as you said. And one of the books that you have authored is You Are Your Biggest Critic. The other book that you have authored is Love Me Unconditionally. And you are your biggest critic. That is celebrating its 1 year anniversary. And I was so happy last year when I saw you publish that book. I can tell you now, I bought it on Amazon. You'll tell us a little later on of where other folks can pick it up from. But I bought The Biggest Critic on Amazon. And I started going through that. I was so inspired. So when I saw recently you were celebrating rather the 1 year anniversary, I said we must talk about You Are Your Biggest Critic.
Yeah. And thank you again, Sharon, for having me on the program. I think it's very important sometimes to have these kind of discussions where we can, inspire other people to get on their journey, like I like to call it, becoming your best self. Because at the end of the day, that's what we really should be doing, aiming to become our best selves. And in terms of that book particular, You're Your Biggest Critic, it is a little, I want to call it small synopsis of my life story and, the journey I have taken to becoming. I'm not there yet because I'm not at the end of my life, but the steps I've been taking to becoming my best self along the journey.
So Doc, tell us why was it important for you to write You're Your Biggest Critic? What motivated you in that direction? You're your biggest critic.
So first and foremost, I had to recognize that I was my biggest critic. So that was the initial point. But adding to that, throughout the years, of course, I was a volunteer with the Ministry of Health back in the day, and I was able to interact with a lot of young people. But not just that, my friends would always come to me for advice, and I recognized that there was these little nuggets of wisdom that I was picking up from my own life experiences and from other people that I've come into contact with. And I was like, what, actually, I think these are some lessons that, not because I have learned them, mean that other people can't learn them too. And I was like, what better way to do this than to create something, put all of this together so that people can actually, learn a little bit vicariously through my life, but as well from their own experiences and be able to relate to things. So what I started doing, I think this was about like in 2017, I started making these Facebook posts that end up being the chapters in this book, actually.
Great.
The funny thing is, one of the chapters in the book is finish what you've started. I never actually finished those posts that I started. So
there's still time.
Exactly. So even with that also helped to shape the experiences that end up being in the book. And I was like, you know what? I was talking with a friend. They were releasing the book at that time. It's like, let me just go ahead, put this information out there, and I'm hoping that it will change the lives of the people who are able to at least, learn from their own their own selves and learn from my experiences.
Great, great. Doc, you have written saying that growing up in the countryside in Guyana offered you a fresh perspective on life. And you've said that it has brought resilience and self-determination, enabling you to become the man you are, meandering the currents of poverty and failure. And I know this kind of message, inspiring message, can inspire a lot of other young people and old folks too. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Thanks for that question again, Chart. So I grew up on the east coast of Demerara in the beautiful village of Victoria with my grandmother, my brother and sister at the time, an aunt and an uncle. And we all lived in a house the size of the total circumference of this house was probably the size of somebody's master bedroom, if you think about it. So that was my very humble beginnings. And it's a journey really to come from a place of poverty where things that other people were had luxuries to I didn't have. There was like a pit toilet, we didn't have water for a long time, we didn't have electricity for a long time, but I had to determine that I didn't want this to be my end story. I wanted my story to become something marvelous, something more rewarding. And education was kind of my gateway out of this poverty. I mean, of course, thanks to the help of my family, I was able to achieve certain things in terms of going to school, becoming a medical doctor to begin with. So I think it was these first early beginnings that were quite difficult to deal with, but I was able to meander those tortuous paths, if you want to call it that, and understand that a lot of the setbacks that I've had in my life were in essence an opportunity to get me to where I am today. And looking back, I don't regret these experiences. Would I wish it on anybody else? No, but I don't regret them because what it did, they actually helped me and helped to shape me into the man I am today. And I'm very proud of the accomplishments that I was able to achieve coming from such a humble beginning.
Awesome, awesome. And I think in that story is if, Dr. Terrence Isaacs could come from such humble beginnings, as you put it, and go on to graduate from the medicine program at UG and become an author and spoken word poet and all of that, then any of us can do it. Because, I mean, that is my own takeaway from it. And on this whole notion of being an author, I know so many persons might be out there who are asking themselves, or perhaps have the inspiration or have the goal of being an author, writing their own book one day. All of us got our own stories to tell. What do you think perhaps is one of the first things you probably need to do to get on that path?
And it's gonna sound quite simple, but it's to start writing. More than anything else, start writing. You're traveling in the bus, you're chilling on the veranda, you're watching television, you're talking with a friend, and something pops into your head. We're all in technological age now, so a lot of people have telephones or mobile phones. Pick up your notepad and your mobile phone, type whatever comes to your mind. If you're at home and you have a notepad, type whatever or write whatever is coming to your mind. And you'll be surprised the amount of information that you would actually put down either on paper or that you would put down in a note on your phone or laptop or whatever, that can then shape. It can be, in essence, the skeleton of what can become a bestseller, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, while you're doing that, you still have to be authentically you, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to express yourself in its truest form. So by doing that, people are going to relate to you. People are going to understand where you're coming from. They're going to understand your experiences, and they can use you as an inspiration as to, hey, this is something that I would want to do. So by all means, I will tell anybody that wants to write something or think that they have a story to share, just start writing.
Great. And this first book, you are your biggest critic. For me personally, It is a cross between an autobiography and a kind of a self-help, how to lead yourself, leading a better life, how to overcome. To me personally, that's how I received its message. And then you have this Love Me Unconditionally, which is one that I haven't read as yet, but one person on Goodreads who read it, one Anna Gonzalez, said that this is the first book by this author that she has read. She said it has a lot of good poems. She goes on to say that I have quite a lot of quotes that I have highlighted because I really like it. I think it was such a good book about love and definitely showed the process of it. They were poems of heartbreak and unconditional love. It shows the process, what the process is like to be in love. And I love books of poetry like that. That's what Anna Gonzalez said, which makes me want to go and buy this book tonight when I finish this program.
Well, actually, I haven't been on Goodreads for a minute, and I'm actually this first time I'm hearing about this, so that's even more amazing. But I'm almost blown away. But at the same time, I think the takeaway for me, and I wanted people to understand, in writing this is my first poetry collection that I've written, and it's basically talking about my own experiences about love, my entire life, the good bits of it, the things that makes me light up and want to just live forever, the parts of me that makes me want to rip my heart out, but all aspects of love. And I think one of the things that I wanted to get put across in the book is, or the collection more so, is that there are different shades of love, basically. And we need to acknowledge all of the aspects of it. The points when you were the person that was hurt, the points when you were the person doing the hurting, and then how can you use this to just heal? Because at the end of the day, we want to experience love in all of its glory, in all of its beauty. And the only way we can really do that is by healing. And that's what a lot of my poems in the book really try to bring across in terms of, dealing with the heartbreaks, dealing with the happiness, and how do we heal? How do we get to the point where you can love yourself and love someone else unconditionally?
Awesome, 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 Doc. In wrapping up, tell us where we can pick up these books from. I know I got mine on Amazon, and that is a good place. Where else might we be able to find these?
So
Wonderful books?
definitely, thanks for that. So definitely, first and foremost, at the present moment, because it is the anniversary, last year in the 30th of April, last year on the 30th of April, I released You Are Your Biggest Critic. So on the 30th of April this year will actually be the 1 year anniversary of that book being published. So to celebrate that for the entire month of April, what I've done is to give this book almost well, not almost, it is a steal deal at 50% off, meaning
Which
you
is
can
what?
get the exactly. So exactly for on Amazon, that's the main place you can get it at the minute. Of course, you can also get it at the Book Hub for those people in Guyana, as well as I think. Let me just give me one quick second. It's a
Go
Book
right ahead.
Hub, and the other place that you can get it at in Guyana is the Between the Covers. Those are the two places that will be having it for the
Yeah,
moment. I'm still trying to sort out how else you can get it for people in Guyana or in the Caribbean in particular,
yeah.
besides
So,
Amazon. But
yeah.
there is my page. My page is Terrence Isaacs, Terrence D. Isaacs, and you can also find it on my shop there. The price at the minute, it's $2.99 US, which is about
Two
what?
dollars and 99 US.
This is for the ebook. This is for the ebook,
You giving
which
away
is
this book. You giving away this ebook.
that's what I'm
Folks,
saying.
pick up a
It's a
copy.
steal.
Two
It's a steal.
dollars, $3 US. It's a steal
Three
of it.
US.
It's a great books. They are great
Exactly.
books.
Three US for the ebook and 8 US for the hard copy or the paperback, which is a steal deal. So
It is.
until now, until the 30th of April, the book is 50% off. And
Yeah.
I will implore everybody that's watching, if you have somebody, if you have a young adult, somebody under 30, or even if you're over 30, it doesn't matter. The experiences in the book are still relevant to person, regardless of their
Very much
age.
so.
This is a brilliant book to get them at this point in time. It's available on Amazon, and you can get it there. And I'm still going to try to figure out how to get it to the Caribbean, specifically for those who want the paperback. And of course, it's available on my shop at Terrence Isaacs on Facebook.
Yeah,
The
and we
other
put
book,
up we have both your name there, and we have the covers of the books too, so persons know what they're looking for.
exactly.
Yeah, and so Doc, what comes next for you?
So at the minute, so as we haven't really talked about the fact that I'm also a medical doctor. So in I'm currently in the process, or I'm currently in training. So I'm a resident, if you want to
Uh-huh.
call it that, in psychiatry. And my aim is to be Guyana's first medical psychotherapist, which is something
Awesome,
that we
awesome.
don't have any of at the minute. So one of my goals is definitely, once I'm finished training and once I've developed myself, to come back to Guyana to help improve my country, particularly from a mental health point of view, because that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about, mental health. But that's from a medical point of view in terms of my career from that aspect. But from a writer's point of view, I am in the works of releasing, probably around my birthday, which is in October of this year, another collections of poetry. And because I'm Afro-Guyanese, it will be about everything Black. So that is something
Awesome,
that's in the works. In
awesome.
terms
Yeah,
of another follow-up to You Are Your Biggest Critic,
yeah.
I will work on that as time progresses, but I'm trying not to, push myself or stretch myself too thin. And besides all of this, the other thing that I'm also involved in, I'm currently preparing for the second season of a show that I have that's called Bro Before Egos. And it's basically where we get men to, sit in a safe space and chat about everything relating to manhood. So we can
And we need more
debunk,
of that.
dispel some of these toxic habits that men have, so that we can be better men. So in essence, as I said initially, my aim is really to make the world a better place. And if I can do that in whatever little way I can, that's all I'll be happy doing.
Awesome, Doc. Awesome. We wish you the best in terms of your residency and the new book. And I'm happy that you were able to balance both medicine and being an author in this way. I was hoping that it was not a career change for you, but I'm
No,
very happy to hear you say that you're balancing both of them.
thank
Dr.
you
Terrence
very much.
Isaac, we wish you the very, very best. He's a medical doctor and author, as we've been discussing. And he has these two books out. You Are Your Biggest Critic, and indeed we are, and Love Me Unconditionally. And as he has said, also there's a third book coming out in October, folks. So we are looking forward to that. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you very much, Shara. Thank you very much for having me. And I do hope that, the program that you have tonight goes very well. And of course, this has been amazing. And good night to everybody else watching. And do, if you have the opportunity to get the books, it will change your life.
Thanks very, very much. Have a great evening, sir.
Okay, bye-bye.
Folks, again, that was Dr. Terrence Isaacs there, walking us through these two fantastic books, which you should get. They are available on Amazon. You Are Your Biggest Critic and Love Me Unconditionally. I have the one and only Mr. Ganesh Maipal, who is with me this evening. Ganesh, how are you doing?
Hi, good
Flashback
night,
Friday.
Sharon. I'm doing well. I trust that you're doing well also.
I am fantastic, and I'm happy that we have all of these folks here with us night after night, Ganesh, and that really and truly heartens me. And so I am well. Once they're here with us, I am well. It's Flashback Friday, and so we're looking at some old issues, some old stories, and so forth. And I'm happy you're going to be here to walk through some of them with me. And first up, Ganesh, I want to play an ad that is very, very dated. And if you don't know this ad, you and I can't be friends because we aren't age group. It's an old ad. The folks are helping me to cue it up here. Give me a second. But folks, this is Flashback Friday, and we like to mix things up a little bit at our end. Ganesh, I'm going to ask you to mute your mic for a second. I'm trying to avoid any feedback as we go. Thanks very much. And we're going to be back on the other side. All right. And folks, again, we're mixing things up here for you. Tell us if you know this. Flashback Friday.
is a local something that makes it all taste better. It's the flavor of our culture. Come from here, come from there, and everywhere. It's essential the unique flavor of our culture.
The people they'll have to sell us some royalty, Ganesh.
Sharon, I remember grew up in Region 2, Essequibo Coast, Lima, and I came to Georgetown at the age of, I think, 14 or 15. And long before that, I was hearing that same ad. That's an old
We'll have to
ad.
get some royalty.
And it's not getting
We'll have to get
outdated,
some
it's
royalty.
still fresh as ever.
At all, at all, at all. I like to look back on those things because you're taking back to a time when perhaps life was young and carefree.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Yeah, and as I said, if folks don't know that don't know this, well, we aren't age group, and so as my mother and aunt used to say, we aren't age group. So you got to say your category, not even category, category. Say your category.
Category.
So, Ganesh, I want to touch on a couple issues that will take us back again in time, and we can perhaps judge how far we have come thus far. So, take a look at this newspaper clipping. This is, believe it or not, 1970, and this is a GEC ad in the newspaper. GEC was the forerunner to Guyana Power and Light (GPL), and here they're promising improved service in rural areas. Improved service in rural areas. I heard some folks complaining just today about blackouts. A woman called me from Parfait Harmony. She said the children can't do the schoolwork, blackouts, and no running water. 1970, we're talking about bringing power to rural communities. Ganesh, are you there with me? Ganesh might be having some internet challenges, but folks, that's just one of the things we're going to be touching on. This ad from 1970 talking about bringing power to local communities. Onvawak, they said that their technicians are going to be visiting Onvawak, West Coast, Berbice, Anna Regina, Essequibo, and other places, bringing power to rural communities. And what is striking here is that it's so many years later, and we are still being challenged. We are still being challenged with power. Again, as I said, people call me all the time, all day long, blackout, blackout, blackout. And just recently, we've said right on this program that one man was complaining is more blackout now than under the last administration. More blackout now. More blackout now, folks. Check out this other piece for us. I know some of you guys are going to know this. And again, if you don't know this, we can't be friends, folks, because you are too young. We can't be friends. Look at this one. Anybody remembers this? Anybody remembers this? C-Rex. Give your baby C-Rex. Give your baby C-Rex. Well, well, well. I loved the C-Rex as a child. And, we kept hoping that they bring it back by some means. I love C-Rex. How many of you had C-Rex as children? How many of you loved C-Rex? How many of you hated C-Rex? If you hated C-Rex, something wrong with you. If you hated C-Rex with some good milk, something wrong with you. I know people who used to eat C-Rex by itself, dry. It was so good. How many of you loved C-Rex, folks? Share the live stream. It's Flashback Friday. How many of you? I see Cheryl saying yes. Is that yes for the C-Rex? Rhonda Allen says yes. C-Rex was it. Beverly Romaine says yes. C-Rex was it. Colin Isaac, she loves C-Rex too. How many of you guys love C-Rex? Huh? How many of you guys love this? Well, I have Ganesh back with me. I know Ganesh. If Ganesh don't like C-Rex, we something wrong.
Sharon, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know C-Rex. I
Oh,
don't know C-Rex.
you're too young. Where you know, Ganesh?
I remember
Rice pop.
cornflakes.
Oh
Cornflakes
my
I know of.
Lord. I
I
can't
don't
even
know
carry you to
here.
rice pop. Ganesh age showing. Ganesh he is bright. He got a lot of wisdom, and one thing that he is on in age, but now his age is showing here. So, folks, C-Rex was it. C-Rex is it. We love the C-Rex, and we hope that it would come back. And so, there we have it. Folks, tell me how many of you remember this. It's Flashback Friday, and we're looking at some old issues. Another newspaper clipping. This was the age of the Sanos bus. And they used to park in front of Stabrook Market. This was the age of the big bus. The brand was Sanos. This was a huge blue and white bus. I know lots of people are now calling for us to have our own bus system again. How many of you remember the Sanos bus? Ganesh?
Out of my league, way out of my league.
Minibus. Here is a minibus fellow.
Minibus,
Oh my
minibus.
Lord. You have to come out at a certain time because these buses didn't run like minibuses. If they had a 7 o'clock bus running to South, you had to come out and catch the Sanos bus. And for those of you who lived in South, after the Sanos bus, we had Jakey. Jakey had a big cream bus used to run south to the park down in town. Right? There was Jakey.
But
But Ganesh
where I
carried
grew up, where I grew up in Essequibo, we had a
was Pope.
big bus also. We used to call it Lazo. And
Uh-huh.
Lazo would normally pick up people for the 12 o'clock midnight ferry. That was Malali. Malali used to depart the Adventure Stelling at 12 in the night and take about
Mhm.
3 or 4 hours to get to Parika. That is what I know. And then slowly that same Lazo became a bus that transported students to school. I remember you had to pay $20 with Lazo, and with the fancy ride, you'll pay $40. Well, of course, my parents would say, here is your $20, go and catch Lazo. And Lazo was it. And we also, if you have people looking at your you're looking at your program here from Essequibo, they will remember that there was a famous brown bus that was working from Sparta to Anna Regina. That was those buses like what you have right now, working lodge. Those
Mhm.
buses like those. But we had one in Essequibo that I know of, and it was
Uh-huh.
brown in color. And everybody would
Mhm.
say they're traveling with the brown bus because the brown bus had a safe driver and
Uh-huh.
it was a conductress. So everybody found favor with those two mature people, and my parents and many other people, their parents, had confidence in the Brown Bus and Lazo because those were not buses that you would find speeding down the road or playing
Oh
the
yes.
heavy boom
Oh
boom
yes.
music and kind of things.
Mhm.
But as I got older and entered secondary school, probably in Form 3 or 4, I somehow felt ashamed to know that I have to travel with Lazo and Brown Bus. So I had to really be the bully, teenagers, my father used to say, I see the sun before you. And I never understood what that meant until I got older and I
And saw the
recognized
sun
that it
before
simply
you.
means, yes, it simply means that everything I was doing, he did before. And
Yeah.
he knew exactly what game I was playing. And now
Yeah.
I'm a father, so I'm expecting the same. So I will be able to tell my son that I've seen the sunlight before you. So
So
don't think you're gonna go down the road of trying to smart me. I've been there, done
so
that.
yeah. So it was Lazo for you and Sanos for me.
Yes, yes.
Well, Ganesh, what comes next? If you don't know about the Sanos, you ain't gonna know this other one. Can you folks remember? Hold on for me. I'm running ahead of myself. Can you folks remember mass games? Can
Out
you
of my
folks remember
league, Jared. Out of my league.
mass games at the national park? I mean, the national park was built for this mass games, right? And in the stands, the what do you call it? The folding books read "Stand Up for Guyana." I participated, believe it or not, in mass games, Ganesh, when I was in primary school. At least once, I remember. I think
Okay.
around fourth standard in primary school, I participated in mass games. Out of your league again.
Out of my league. Way out of my league. My
you,
childhood
you,
was
you,
spent in full country style. You
uh-huh.
go to the back dam, you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, you go to the back dam when they're done cut rice, you go and catch some some trench fish, you call it, patwa, huri, and sunfish, butterfish, and those kind of things. You go and you feel in the trench, you actually feel in the trench and you catch them. And by 6:37, you come home back in the morning with your skin full of mud, but your parents would not be upset because you brought home trench fish. And everybody loved the trench fish. That's what they call it, eh? The sweetwater fish. And then, there's the normal childhood growing up in the country. You do bush cooking. A group of friends assemble. They go and swim in the trench, or you swim in the river, and you play different fun games in the sun. That's the kind of childhood Essequibians, I'm sure, know about. And as you get older, you go on the beach and you play some lovely cricket, softball. Then when tape ball came out, as you grow older, you tape the ball with the insulation tape and you play with that. Your childhood days were so much wonderful that I wish if I could relive them, save and except for the licks. A lot of licks came with them.
And knowing you had some good lashes in your backside. Just like me.
Indeed, I got some good lashes. I got
Just like
some
me.
good lashes.
I'm reading some of the comments. I'm reading some of the comments, Ganesh, and folks are talking about the Tata bus. So I had the Sanos. You had the what was your bus?
Lazo.
You had the Lazo. Somebody's talking about the Tata bus here too.
Yeah, I remember my mother talking about Tata bus too, but I don't know about them. But I remember my mother.
Out of my league. Out of my league. So as we continue our Flashback Friday, folks, looking back at issues that characterize us as Guyanese in the past, I invite you guys to share the live stream. I'm talking with Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal. Ganesh, this one I'm sure you can remember. We all remember, I shouldn't say we all and generalize, when Janet Jagan won the presidency back in, what was that, 2007, there was a court order that was issued, an injunction.
I think that was 1997, Sharon.
1997, thanks. 1997, to halt the swearing in. And this was the court martial about to serve that injunction on the then presidential candidate. And he's being barred by folks. He's being barred by PPP folks from serving that injunction.
Sharon, I was in primary 1. I think, yes, primary 1 when this happened. That would be grade what? Grade 1, 2, grade 3. I was probably in grade 3 or 4 when that happened. And I knew nothing about it. I was not into politics then. I was merely looking at being mischievous as a child growing up. And like all children, carefree, to say the least. But as I grew older and got into politics, I read about this. And when I did my own introspection and look back at how politics is in Guyana, I believe that was probably the start of where the fall of democracy began, and the disrespect for the rule of law, because that was tolerated in full swing there. I can't point to an event that is in our archive or probably that is registered in history that is before that action that can categorize us as being not followers of our constitution and our law. Yeah. So I think because
these are folks who like to talk about the PPP, that is, who like to talk about respect for the courts and accountability and good governance. And here they are preventing an officer of the court from serving the injunction to halt the swearing in of Janet Jagan. And this injunction was issued by, what's her name? Desiree Bernard. I think it was.
Yes, I remember reading about it. I'm not sure if it was Desiree Bernard, but I read about the incident and I thought to myself that you cannot say that the strength or the Bible or the spiritual document to our land is the Constitution, and then you have the highest office disrespecting it that much. And there are a number of disrespect that flowed from that, a number of behavior that flowed from that, which can basically categorize us as breaking our own laws, not following our own constitution. You had the withholding of local government elections for 20 plus years. 94, the PPP had local government in 94. The other one was due in 96, 97. 97 is when you had that ordeal. And you never had a local government election back until 2016. And then it was the same David Granger administration that had local government election again in 2018. And you know, David Granger's administration also focused on amending the laws so that you can ensure that local government elections are held in its constitutionally mandated period or time. So you had in the PPP from 97, and I think that was the same year when Dr. Jagan passed away. So not knowing Dr. Jagan, but reading about him, hearing him calling for a lean and clean government and talking about how good his administration would be when he took office in 92, I believe I owe it to say that perhaps he had good intentions, but unfortunately he did not live long enough to execute his plans. But you have the now generation of the PPP who are following in the footsteps of Janet Jagan and those persons that came after 1997, and they are continuing to trample on our democracy. They're continuing to trample on us as Guyanese, not respecting the constitution, using it at their whims and fancies, and basically deciding when to apply which part as they see fit. That is very, very unfortunate. You're muted.
Apologies. Ganesh, I was just saying, following this event here, where the gentleman was being blocked from issuing that injunction, well, what do you call it, serving the injunction, we know that Mrs. Jagan would have tossed that injunction over her shoulder at one point. The then chairman of GCOM, Do Not Sing, there was a whole song written about him, Rig Not. He leaned over to her and said that was good. She's tossing a coat right over her shoulder. The chairman of GCOM at that time is saying that was good. And Do Not went on, I think in 2000 or 2001, to be their attorney general.
Yes, and you see, Sherrod, we have to be careful with what precedents we set. We have to be careful with what practice we abide by at this current stage, and be careful with what kind of precedents we set so that the future generation should not look back at us and say that we did it, that is why they have to do it. We should have ourselves, that is, we should follow the law, follow the constitution, so that every action that comes after will be in keeping with the constitution. And it goes back to the point of how we are operating at the level of the National Assembly and how we operate in elections. 2020 saw the first national recount exercise, and that is because GCOM entertained such an exercise, claiming that they were trying to bring peace within the political parties because they assumed that there were no peace. So in order to, I think the word they used was assuage, to assuage the political parties, they went into the national recount exercise, and they went in with an intention of coming out with a final credible count. And unfortunately, they came out without a final credible count. Now we have an elections petition. We have an elections petition in the court, petition 88, which is seeking to say that the validity of the recount or the 60 of 2020 is null and void, and the judge has to make a ruling. That ruling will have effects on the future, because let's assume that the judge says the national recount was well done, it is in keeping with the law, and it stands. Let's assume she says that. That means that in 2025 or the next general and regional election, we will have to have a national recount again. And it means going forward all the time, we will have to have a national recount, because she would solidify it here should she do that. And that's the precedence that will be set. Therefore, we will just be wasting money to follow the Election Law Act, which states that we should have returning officers in all 10 regions, which state that there must be regional declarations, and then the final tabulation of those declarations by the CEO. That would make absolutely no sense, because political parties will always cry foul should they not ascend to the higher office. And that is what we have to be careful with. So that elections petition is one that will set the platform. That decision will set the platform going forward. If it's deemed null and void, and therefore the results from it will be null and void, then we will have to revert and go back to our laws and follow it there, and then we will have to prepare for a new elections in 3 months' time. But of course, we know
Yeah.
that our country is not prepared, and we will not be prepared. When I say we, I mean our country, GCOM, will not be prepared for another election in 3 months' time. So that will force the coalition and the People's Progressive Party to come to the drawing table so that an amicable resolution to this issue can be forthcoming. But elections petition 99 is also very, very important, because that
Yeah.
is the petition that speaks to all the abnormalities, the irregularities, and the fraud that was found
Yeah.
at the recount, where you found 49 ballot boxes without statutory documents to verify the votes that are in them, where you found
Yeah.
missing oaths of identity, unsigned oaths of identity. You found persons that were dead. Their names were ticked off on the official list of electors as voted. You found persons who migrated and did not return on or before March 2nd. They voted. A series of abnormalities, irregularities, anomalies, systemic fraud, if I'm to put it
Inconsistencies.
in two
Correct.
words.
Ganesh,
Systemic fraud.
as we're talking about presidents, look at this one. I mean, in 2020 election, we had lots of foreign interference was welcome. When you talk about, Sarah Lynch and Chatterjee and Ralph Gonzalez and lots of Mayor Motley, lots of foreign interference. But look at 2011. Look at 2011. This is our still UN resident ambassador talking
The
about
lady that
Guyana
voted
must
no and
remain
then said
wary.
yes.
Yes, same woman. You know the woman, I know the woman, we all know the woman. 2011, Guyana must remain wary of foreign interference. Well, she can come and say that she didn't say this. She can come and say yes now. Guyana must be wary of foreign interference. That was her word then. Ganesh?
I saw a video also where Bharat Jagdeo, when he was president, he also said that the foreigners must stop relying on anecdotal evidence and come to the ground, and they will see things differently, and they must not interfere with the domestic affairs of this country. I think I saw
Yes.
a video,
Yes.
something along that line also. So
Yeah.
that is the duplicitous behavior and hypocritical
Hypocritical.
behavior
Yeah.
of the People's Progressive Party. It is not something that can be easily gotten rid of, unless perhaps this current batch that is in there, so just disappear in the wilderness. But you see, we have two political forces in this country which we have to be factual about. We have the People's Progressive Party and we have the APNU AFC, the coalition. They control perhaps 95% of our population. And when I say control, I mean they have the support of probably
Mhm.
95% of our country. And in order for us to go forward, Sherrod, it is necessary for us to start the dialogue on not only social cohesion, but working for the common good and the common cause. And when you have a government that is sitting in office, squatting in office, and they are refusing to do the honorable thing, and that is to basically reach out and call out for the participation of the other political entities so that a common decision can be made, where you sit at a table and you dialogue for the Guyanese people. This is not about self-interest. It is not about self-praises. The PPP can never do it by themselves. And similarly, the coalition cannot do it by themselves. But
Correct.
the coalition in 2015, we reached out to Jagdeo, even though he deemed us as installed in 2015. He said that we were not legitimate. He said that when
Well,
Nagamutu and Granger go anyway, chase them out. But you still have many pictures to show that he was climbing State House, greeting the then President David Granger, and
but but
David
but
Granger
but
never
but
shun him out.
Ganesh, this was them in 2015. This was them in 2015. Ramatar
Yes,
not
I remember
conceding
that.
election once total recount. Flashback.
And he didn't get the total recount then, but we got it in 2020. And like I said earlier, based on how the judge will rule in this elections petition case, we may very well have recounts going forward, or we may not. It all depends on her ruling.
Yep, flashback. Ramatar not conceding once total recount. And look at this
But
other
you
one.
know,
Look at, yeah,
Sharon, I will tell you that I had the privilege of being in politics directly under the Ramatar's presidency. When he was president, I was at the University of Guyana during that period. So I was mature enough to understand politics. I was deeply involved in student politics. You and I know that. We both
correct.
were deeply involved in student politics. And if I am to give an honest assessment of Ramatar, President Ramatar, I would say that he was perhaps 100% better than Barrett Jagdeo. Ramatar for me, because maybe he was a family, because he is a family person. He has children, he has a wife, he's closely knitted to his family. He grew up in the country area. He spent some time in Carrier and Wakenham. You know, he was with the grassroots. He came through the struggle. He interacted. He understands what it is to be poor. He understands also what it is to be rich. He had a different approach. And but the fact of the matter is he was deeply curtailed by the interference of Barrett Jagdeo, if one is to honestly assess his presidency. And we are seeing the same thing today. Irfan Ali is deeply being interfered with in the manner in which he's governing. So perhaps we may not want to blame Irfan, though he rightfully deserved the blame as being the head of state, but he's allowing himself to be interfered with the same Barrett Jagdeo
Yeah,
who
yeah,
interfered in the
yeah,
Ramatar's
yeah.
presidency.
And
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 I
and
think if
Ganesh, I don't know if it is me, but it looks as though Jagdi is living in Main Street at State House. He's always there.
yes, you're seeing that also. And the thing is, I think if Irfan wants his, in my view, illegitimate presidency to be defined by good governance, by transparency, accountability, and adherence to rule of law, inclusivity, social cohesion, togetherness. If he wants that to be his definition, then he needs to put Barrett Jagdeo as far away as possible, because he is the person that is responsible for, in my view, the division that our country is faced with.
I agree with
And
you
as
there.
genuine
I
as
agree
I
with you
may
there.
want to believe, as genuine as I may want to believe Irfan Ali is as an individual, he needs to take some bold steps in
Yeah.
correcting a lot of mishaps that
Be
are
his own
happening.
man.
I was living
Be his
next to
own man.
Irfan Ali, and I was his neighbor, so I can tell you as a neighbor, he was a good person. I can tell you that I had the privilege of uh, his wedding ceremony. I had the privilege of seeing what was going on. I wasn't invited, but as the neighbor, you would, and I wasn't invited because of the
You
politics,
are
which I
Guyanese.
understand. But but I think generally, if Irfan Ali is allowed to fly by himself and he's allowed to open his wings like an eagle and soar, I think he may want to go down the line of promoting love, unity, and togetherness for all Guyanese.
Jagdio
But
weighs down everything.
as long as that bully, that barbaric individual stands next to him, he will not have
Yeah.
the presidency he wants to have. And you
Look at
would
this last one,
recall
Ganesh.
when
Yeah.
there is something that I hear a lot of Guyanese talk about when Barrett Jagdeo became president. I think when he got it from Janet Jagan, he told Janet Jagan that you're a private citizen, stay in your
Yeah.
corner. I am the
Yeah.
president, something like
That's
that.
when she
I heard
intervened
a
into
lot
the
of people
Sabbath
talk
News.
those things.
When they put the act from Sabbath News and she intervened. Look at this final one, Ganesh. International observers, 2015, international observers were hasty in declaring polls free and fair. Were they hasty this last time?
Duplicitous and hypocritical. Those are two words that they don't like to hear, but they are words that fit them correctly. The words fit them correctly. Duplicitous and hypocritical.
Yep, yep. I mean, it's interesting to read some of this stuff, and one of the things to our discredit, we have a short memory as Guyanese, a very, very, very short memory, and so we have forgotten all of these things. But hopefully, in programs like this or Flashback Friday, we'll get a chance to touch on them, Ganesh.
Yes, definitely, Sharon. I just saw an email coming through also from the a press statement from the Parliament of Guyana, and I think it's necessary for me to update your listeners and viewers.
Go right ahead.
The
Go right
Speaker
ahead.
of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the National Assembly took a decision to suspend all subcommittee meetings at the Parliament office in view of the COVID-19, the increase in the numbers, and also because some staff were tested positive there. I think that's a positive move because COVID is real. COVID is really
But
getting out of control.
he has to
But what
curb his
sense?
own behavior. He has been hogging up and taking
Well,
out pictures
I,
of party with the whole set of people.
I was going to say, what sense does it make that you take all of these decisions afterwards when the foundation, the root, the genesis of the spread, the genesis of the increase in numbers lies squarely at the PPP's feet because
Yeah.
they and their surrogates, they are entertaining large crowds, facilitating activities that are
Just today, I
allowing
think in
people to
Essequibo, there
gather.
was a big ministerial outreach there. Just today. Just
Yes,
today.
it's very unfortunate. Now, I am not saying that you don't reach out to your people. The government has a duty, they're duty bound to reach out to citizens. The
But there's
opposition is duty bound
technology.
also.
There's technology.
No,
You got all
but
of these
even
radio
so,
stations and entities, NCN and DPI. Well, Jagger said DPI ain't doing nothing, so I don't know.
no, but even so, Sherrod, you have to also cater for the people who don't have access to the internet, who don't have radio stations at their disposal, who don't have television. You have people in our country that genuinely want to see their leaders. You have people in our country that genuinely want to meet with their leaders. And I support going and engaging, but it must be done in an atmosphere where you follow the guidelines that were put out by PAHU WHO. Nothing is wrong having a meeting at a location, but you must curtail the number. You must be specific in terms of
To
the
your
attendees.
own COVID measures. You have to honor your own COVID measures and
Yes,
restrictions.
you have to at least be
And they've
sitting
been poor
six
with
feet
that.
apart.
Yeah.
Wear the mask, sanitize, do not engage close with each other. If you're going to touch from a distance. So I don't see anything wrong with the government or opposition reaching out to their supporters,
Yeah, but
edifying their people, but it must be done within the confines of the COVID-19 guidelines. And that
but
way,
Ganesh,
you are going
if
to
this is what
reduce the spread.
we're saying about Parliament and a couple people, because it's not 1,500 meeting for a committee meeting, it's about 7 or 8 people, and the
Yeah.
parliamentary chamber is huge, so you can get social distancing for committee meetings there. But that being said, the speaker knows what he's doing. One would hope. What is happening at the ministries? What is happening at the ministries? Right, where there are scores
And
and
the
scores and
regions.
hundreds of people meeting
And the
and
regions.
staff
And and
and the
and
region.
I think the speaker, I think you have raised a
And you
very
don't have
important
meetings
point.
every day. You don't have meetings. You don't have committee meetings every day or every week.
You raised a very important point there, Sherrod, because the speaker took it upon himself to make that decision to shut down all subcommittees. And that is a good thing, as I said, because they need to sanitize the place and ensure people are safe. But then you raised a very important point. In the ministries, regions, and departments, you have people who are occupying office space and they are not 6 feet apart. They have to take
Exactly.
off their mask to eat at their desk. They are in small cubicles just sitting behind each other, contained in
Small
an
quarters.
AC
Yeah.
room. And you have raised a very important point. Is the parliament signaling to people that MPs and parliamentary staff are more important and precious
Yeah.
than the ordinary Guyanese who are
And that
working
is
at
how
the
you talk about the double standard.
ministry. Yeah,
Ganesh, if
you.
if if 5 to 10 people should be meeting in the parliamentary chamber, that very spacious room for 5 to 10 people, to have a committee meeting, the cabinet shouldn't be meeting physically.
That is so true. That
The
is so
cabinet
true.
should
That
be
is so
meeting
true.
physically.
And you, that's a very, very important point, and we need our people to understand that. Why are you allowing the ordinary public servants to risk their lives
Yeah,
traveling in public
yeah.
transportation, going to work, sitting in a cubicle? They have to, I doubt whether they are being provided
But
with masks
Ganesh,
to change every 15-20 minutes.
MP
And
Mahipal,
you are.
let me throw another spanner in the cog here. Is this really about COVID or is this about the PAC?
Well, it brings that. That's you know, I
As a
didn't want to
member,
go down that road,
well, I'm going
but
down that road.
it brings it into question. It brings exactly that into question, because the point you made earlier concerning the Parliament taking a decision to set aside all subcommittees as because of COVID, and then you have a situation where public servants still
Yeah.
are working 8 to 4:30, all
The
have to come to
cabinet,
work,
the
and
big
the
cabinet still
cabinet
meeting.
is meeting. Priya Manikchan is going on her outreach. Dharam Lal is on his outreach. Everybody
Yeah,
else
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
gallivanting.
Colin Crowell and
Everybody else
the
is
other one.
gallivanting.
Yeah,
And the PAC has about 13 members, I think,
yeah,
and it's a very spacious room. Even if you
yeah,
need to meet as subcommittees, there is the Artachong Conference Center, a
yeah.
big
Correct.
spacious building too. So
Yeah.
could this be more than just the COVID? It begs
Ah,
that
boy.
question indeed, and the
Yeah,
possibility do exist.
yeah.
Because I know that I think it was Gail Teixeira who said she was deeply bruised by the last meeting, because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't go in her favor.
But
And you
more
know,
bruising
it could,
coming, Gail.
you have raised
You're
a
too
very
old.
important point that we'll have to look
Yeah,
deeper
yeah,
into. You're
yeah. Ganesh,
stymieing the
our time
work
is gone.
of country. You're stymieing the work of the country. You're stymieing the work of the Public Accounts Committee. We have work dating back from since 2016. You're stymieing the entire operation of the National Assembly, but you have no authority, nor can you make a recommendation to your government for them to take the necessary precautions at the regions, at the
Yeah,
departments, at the
yeah,
agencies, at ministries. That is a
yeah.
great shame.
Correct. Correct. I would think there's less social distancing, for instance, in the accounting department of Parliament. Are those folks not going to go to work? I mean, I have to look at the document and see what really these people telling us. Ganesh, I want to thank you for joining the program this evening. I want to thank members of the public for staying a few extra minutes with us to unpack, as Randy would say, this new information. Thank you for joining this Flashback Friday. We went through several issues dating back to 1970. Folks, thanks.
Sharon,
And
allow me before
yeah,
you close. Allow me before
go.
you close in probably 20 seconds to say
Go. Right
to our
there.
Muslim brothers and sisters, I wish them well as they continue to fast for this holy month of Ramadan. And to our Hindu brothers and sisters as they continue to observe Navratri, I wish everyone a successful fasting period. And may all of us become better individuals at the end of this period. Thank you, Sharon.
Great. Wear your mask, social distance, sanitize. Watch the groups you are in. Shouldn't be groups larger than 10. Even in those groups, you should be socially distanced. Folks, have a great weekend, and we're going to see you guys on Monday. MP Ganesh Mahipal, thanks for dropping by. Thank you. Have a great weekend
Thank
now.
you.
Stay safe.